Okay, I Googled some jokes because everyone looks a little tired and like they need cheering up. So we're gonna do jokes until it's time to start with our lesson, okay? If you have a fun one, then you should totally like raise your hand and then say it. Just raise your hand so we don't end up speaking over each other. So here is the first riddle slash joke. Why are fish so smart? Do I get to hear any answers? Any opinions? What do you think? Why are fish so smart? Yes, Brielle.
Because they swim in schools.
Yes.
Why?
Okay.
Good work, Brielle.
What day of the week are most twins born?
Tuesday.
Tuesday. What did the science book say to the math book? Anyone got a guess? Wow, you've got problems. The science book says to the math book. How do pickles enjoy a day out? Malachi, did you have an answer? Okay. Anyone else got a thought? How do pickles enjoy a day out? They relish it. Dun-dun. Why couldn't the pony sing a lullaby? Dun, 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 dun. Yes, Eve, what do you think?
Because he was a little horse.
Yes. Okay, let me see. Here's a good one. Why are frogs always so happy? Any guesses? They eat whatever bugs them. Oh, Emily, I didn't see your raised hand until too late. Okay. What kind of tree fits in your hand? Yes, Emily.
A palm tree.
A palm tree. Yes, Malachi. What do you give a sick lemon? Brianna.
Lemonade.
Yes. What button is it impossible to unbutton? I don't think I could have guessed this one. Anybody have an idea? The belly button. Why do fish live in salt water? Because pepper makes them sneeze. Okay. What do you get when you put 3 ducks in a box? Besides chaos. That's not the answer. Malachi, did you know?
A box of quackers.
Yes, a box of quackers. Anyone else got a really good joke they want to insert while I'm scrolling these? Finding more.
What do you call a pig that does karate? A pork chop.
Nice. Here's a good one. Why did the student eat his homework? Hi, Lisbeth's friend. Why did the student eat his homework? The teacher told him it was a piece of cake. That's some deep level betrayal. Okay, here's a riddle for you. Are you ready? I don't know that you'll get this one. It's really hard. When do you go at red and stop at green? When do you go at red and stop at green? It's like opposite, like for
When it's upside down?
no, that's not what this one says. When you're eating a watermelon, you go at red and stop at green. What's a cow's favorite holiday?
Lent?
Thanksgiving.
Someone said Thanksgiving and someone said Lent. That was very interesting. The answer is New Year's Eve.
I have
What
one.
Okay, go for it, Alyssa.
What steps do you take during a fire? Big ones.
Big ones. Yes. Why did the picture go to jail?
It was framed.
It was
Dang
framed. What is the strongest creature in the world? Not an ant in this situation.
A rubber band.
That's not a creature, but good guess. The snail, because it carries its whole house on its back. What can jump higher than a house? I have a feeling Malachi is going to know this one. Leanne, what do you think? What can jump higher than a house? Perla, do you have any ideas? Nothing can jump higher than a house because a house can't jump. Mind blown.
I've got one, Hannah.
Okay.
What is Beethoven's favorite fruit?
Beethoven's favorite fruit?
Anybody? Banana. Sorry.
That's good. I feel like I need to go message Mr. Murray that one. He'd probably be like, these kids. Anyone else have a good joke they want to share? I'll keep looking. Okay, one last joke. What type of bee can't make up its mind? Bumblebees? Good guess. Maybe. Okay. Let me check. Got this ready. John, should I go ahead and start or keep waiting?
I think you may as well go ahead and start.
Okay, sounds good. Is everyone having a good day? Thumbs up, thumbs down. I hope you're having a good day. Kinda, mostly good. Good. I'm good, Emily. Thank you for asking. I saw you signing that. It was good. Okay, today we are going to talk about some study tips, and then also I'm going to try do a little bit on scholarships, which will be more important to some of you than others. Sorry. But it will still apply to you at some point, so I encourage you not to zone out by the time we get there. So I had you guys take a Google form, or do a little Google form, fill it out real quick, about your, like, what study habits you have and what you wish you were better at. And you got some really good answers. Those are really interesting. Most of you said pretty much the same thing. So I have something that gets me really excited and that will hopefully help you in your studying. And it's something that's really helped me too. So has anyone ever heard of Gardner's theory of multiple intelligences? It's a big, fat, long title that just basically means everybody learns in different ways. And he came up with a theory that there are 8 different ways people learn. So the first type of the way you learn, or intelligence, is, well, hold on. There's visual spatial, linguistic verbal, logical mathematical, bodily kinesthetic, musical, interpersonal, intrapersonal, and naturalistic. So knowing the ways that you learn, there's normally a mixture, like you have a top 3. It's kind of like a personality test in that way. Like, so you got to give it a little bit of grace because it might not be exactly right, but the purpose of it is so that you think of how you learn and how you process information and that kind of thing, and can turn it around to apply it to what you're studying, which fits in really well because I think on Friday you guys got emails about what you guys need to be caught up on in your studies. Some stuff that's not turned in yet, some that is. So the first multiple intelligence we're going to talk about is visual spatial. Can anyone guess what that one's going to be focused on? Visual spatial. Visual spatial means that you learn by seeing things. So you visualize things when you think. Like I am more of a linguistic, intrapersonal, visual spatial person. So when I, like in my case, my visual spatial learning comes into play when when I think, if I hear the word boxcar, or let's do the word cat, I might, like in my head, I see either a picture of like the word, or I see like the picture of a cat, like I think of my neighbor's cat or something like that. So visual spatial is where your brain thinks more in pictures. So then when you're learning, the best way that you process information and take it in is through seeing lots of visuals, graphs, videos, pictures. You might find yourself doodling more when you take notes. That's good. Don't stop doodling. You should totally do that. Because you might be a visual learner. That's one of the ways that you process information. The second type is linguistic verbal. So in this type of learning style, you use words really well. It helps you to see things written down and to hear them explained. That's how you process information. So linguistic in the way that it's also very auditory based. You do really well listening to lectures and seeing things written down, especially like in PowerPoints, that kind of thing. That really helps when you're studying. Logical and mathematical. If you are a logical / mathematical type of learner, you see a lot of patterns concepts and you're pretty logical about your reasoning, that kind of thing. Bodily kinesthetic. Kinesthetic just means moving. So you process better when you're moving. So I know a lot of these kind of go into like a little bit of ADD, ADHD kind of, if you fidget a lot when you're taking notes or when you're trying to study, or if you feel like you learn better when you're like walking around, moving your knee up and down, that kind of thing, then you probably have a strong bodily kinesthetic learning style. So if you have a musical learning style, then you think in patterns, rhymes, and sound. You will never, ever, probably ever forget that rhyme that you learned in phonics, probably like around kindergarten, the I before E, except after C. Anyone remember that? Did you guys ever get taught that? Some of you were looking at me like, what on earth, she's crazy. Okay, so one of the spelling rhymes to help you is that you always put I before E except after C. So neighbor, I before E. Yeah, that too. So let's see. In science, you guys probably have learned about like kingdom Monera, Protista, Animalia, like the different kingdoms and stuff. Not yet. Again, some of you are nodding. Some of you look at me like I'm crazy. That's okay. You'll get there. So at one point in science, you're probably going to have to learn the order of species, like from how simple they are to how complex they are. A lot of people, or the planets. You guys had to learn the order of the planets, right? From the sun to Pluto. I still count Pluto. Some of you did, some of you did. That's okay. So you might have had to create an acronym kind of thing to help you learn. So where you took the first letter of each planet, like the S for sun, N for Neptune, that kind of thing. So you created a sentence where the first letter of each of those words was used in your, is this making sense? Okay. Sort of. You see, okay. So the first, we have Earth. What's the next planet? I can't think right now. What
Mars.
Mars. What comes after Mars?
Jupiter.
Jupiter. So EMJ, right? So let's think of a few words that might be kind of weird, like random. Everything meets jelly. I don't know. Kind of random. Not really the word you want to use. But a lot of teachers will have you come up with different words that would work for each of those letters so that when you can remember the sentence and then think about, oh, Earth or everything meets jelly, then the order is Earth, Mars, Jupiter, like that. So if you think more, if it's easier to remember things when they have a tune or a beat behind them or a rhyme to them, then you have more of a musical learning style. So have you guys learned about the inter versus intrapersonal kind of thing? Do you know what those word parts mean? Probably. Okay. So inter, like I-N-T-E-R, means like when it's paired with personal, it means around other people. Intrapersonal is more with yourself. So if you are interpersonal, I-N-T-E-R, then you study best when you have interactions with other people, when you're able to discuss what you're learning, in group settings, interact with others to kind of do that. And intrapersonal is the opposite. So where you do best learning by yourself in a closed environment without other distractions. Like you don't want to necessarily, you might talk to other people in different settings, but like studying with other people is a no-go kind of thing. If I study with my friends, then I don't actually study. We end up talking about different things like, oh, what'd you eat for lunch? And have you completed that assignment yet? So I know, yes, Alyssa, it is kind of like introvert and extrovert. So where intrapersonal, you know a lot, like, not that interpersonal people can't be self-aware, but intrapersonal are stronger in that area. They know their strengths and weaknesses, how they learn like by themselves versus debating it, that kind of thing. So the last, or the 8th learning style is naturalistic. So if you have this type of learning intelligence, it means you process information better when you are in nature. So if you're outside, or if you're in a room with lots of plants, surrounded by the sky, that kind of thing, better in the outdoor setting. So when you take the quiz, which I have a little Google form thing that I'm going to post for you guys to do. The Google form will have the link to the quiz, so you guys can see which top 3 intelligences you are, and then apply that to your own studies. I know that based on the test, which tells you like your top 3 scores and which ones like your score for the other one too. I am an interpersonal, linguistic, verbal, and a little bit of visual spatial, like got tied with music. So one of my classes that I struggled with most in university last semester was a science class. We had a lot of information. There was a lot of things to go over. The tests were really big and really scary because there was like a lot of stuff and most of your grade was based on it, right? So knowing what I did about my learning styles to study for the test, I was able to recognize that I learn better when I write things down. I learn better and I remember things better when I hear them out loud. And when it has some kind of rhyme to it, if I can. Okay. Something just happened to my screen, sorry. So when I knew that note cards were something that would help. So I would write down all of my information on note cards, and then I would say them out loud to myself to hear that as another way to process the information. And then after a while, knowing that I couldn't just sit here and study all of these things, I started walking around, like pacing my room. And when you walk, you know how when you walk on like linoleum, it kind of like makes a tapping or like a smacking sound more than just on carpet, whatever. It kind of gave me a beat to like base like the words on that I gave, so I could give some words more emphasis than others and that kind of thing. So was that overwhelming? Weird? Something you didn't think about before? Interesting? Yes, no? Okay. I'm excited to hear what types of learning styles you guys have. Again, that's something that really helped me, and I think if you, when you take it and you see what and like intelligences, learning styles you have, it'll really help you be able to apply those to your studies here and at school, because you'll know ways to like, hopefully that you'll be able to apply right away and maybe not spend as much time studying because you know what works best for you. Some other types of study tips I have for you based on what I saw from what you guys said on the Google form. A lot of you guys said you struggle with staying focused. That's something I think everybody struggles with. Something that one of my teachers suggested, and then I started using also. Have you ever heard of like the 40-20 method? So 40-20, which you can change it to fit your needs, is where you study for 40 minutes, you set a timer, you study for 40 minutes, and then you take a 20-minute break. And you go do anything else, not school related. You go take a walk, go watch a YouTube video, remove yourself from like, when you're sitting here all the time, say I'm sitting here for like 3 hours and I just cannot focus on this poem that Mrs. Walker assigned, like it's just all going over my head at this point, I can't get it. Then your brain becomes stuck in this environment where you can't get out of just like the I don't know what to do, this is ridiculous, do I really ever need to know this, that kind of thing, right? So your brain needs breaks where it can breathe and relax, because you're getting yourself sort of worked up in a way to where your brain is constantly like on, I have to be on. So to give yourself that brain break, yes, watch a YouTube video if you have control and can only watch one. That's something that my brother would not be able to do. He would start one and then keep watching. For me, it's if I pick up a book and say, I'm just going to read one chapter, or I'm just going to watch one episode of High School Musical, the musical. I know what happens. It's fine. I'll just kind of like enjoy a little bit of it, right? And then come back to it. It's not going to work. I can't refocus as well because I've gotten myself into the storyline, or I'm like, oh, it's fine. Just one more chapter. It won't take me that long to get that finished, and then I'll go back. So setting a timer is really important because it makes you refocus, but also don't just sit in the same place that you've been, because your brain won't fully recognize and be able to relax that you've moved on to something different. So let's see, if you just sit here and you have one class, then another class, then another one, you're getting kind of bored, right? But you're still kind of like in the background. Yes, I know this is going on. I'm trying to pay attention. I keep getting sidetracked, but I'm paying attention. Once your Zoom meetings are ended, if you just keep sitting here, you're still going to kind of feel bored and sleepy, right? But if you have a little bit of a break and you use that break to get up, go get some water, take a walk, pet your dog, interact with your younger sibling, tell them, yes, you're not boring right now. It's okay. Thank you. Or go play with this thing, or hey mom, it's good to see you. That kind of thing. Getting stuck in the same environment and not distancing it from yourself every once in a while doesn't allow you to take the breaks and make sure it wears out your brain faster. So another thing you can, if you take inventory when you're using it, this kind of 40-20 thing. If you are studying for 40 minutes and you're still like, man, you know, my timer's up, but I'm still feeling pretty good, like I think I could study more, set it for like 10 more minutes and then study that, and then take another inventory. If you are struggling, like if today is just a really rough day and you cannot focus, do shorter periods of things where you maybe spend, I wouldn't recommend shorter than 20 minutes. If you're working on if you're working on an assignment, if you spend less than 20 minutes on it, then you don't really get into much probably. So try spending 20 minutes and doing part of your homework, and then go take a break for 5 or 10 minutes. It doesn't have to be anything big. It can be less than that. Just make yourself get up, consciously move to a different spot, even if it's just, I'm gonna get off of my desk chair or off of my bed and lay on the floor for 5 minutes. That kind of thing. So another thing that you guys said was that you're struggling with organization and keeping up, like on track with what's due and what's not due, that kind of thing. So I was thinking about what some of my friends do and what I do to keep track of our assignments. you guys were given a journal at the beginning of Upward Bound, right? Everybody nod your head so I know you haven't fallen asleep. Okay. Good. Yes. Okay. You guys were all given a journal. Yes, Emily's got her journal. She's showing us. Yes, Alyssa. Awesome. So one way to do that is to take a little tab thing like, have you guys seen these things? They come sometimes like that. To take one of these and make a little section in your notebook, like put it, I don't know, 3/4 of the way at the back, make it your tabby, and then this half of it, of your notebook, becomes your assignments list. You can organize it by color code, so where you make each class a different color so you can keep track of what assignments there are. Another thing I would really encourage you to do is to write it down as soon as it's assigned, and to make a due date with it. Because if you just write it down, or at least when I just write things down and I don't write the due date later, I'm like, oh, I have plenty of time to do that. It's totally fine. I'll just do that one later. Or, oh no, they didn't assign a due date. Oh crud, that was due tonight and it's 12:01 a.m. kind of thing. So due date, if you want to just keep it in your notebook, where maybe you have a notebook for each class. So for your math, you're going to keep your notes in that. You highlight it. At the bottom of your notes for that day, you can highlight what assignment it is. You can use a different font. Maybe if you write in cursive or you print all the time, then make your letters really big, take up a couple lines, that kind of thing. I'm going to show you one of the things I do. Another thing that I do is sticky notes. Sticky notes are the best, y'all, because here's what happens. I write a list of what I have to do on the sticky note, then I cross it off as I do it, and then what's really satisfying is as soon as you have everything done on there, you get to throw the Post-it note away. What I have been doing this year for my assignments, I'll find one that isn't too crazy. So I like to use a planner. My planner has the big like month in general picture, but I tend to use the day-to-day. Here's what I do. Ta-da! Here's what all of my lovely professors decided to assign one week, and it was all due on Sunday. So what I do here is I make a little check mark. It's under the day that it's due, right? I put what class it was, what the assignment is. So then, I don't know, most of them wanted everything due on Sunday. But here's an example. So I had some things due on Tuesday. Same thing, I put a list of due, a little checklist so I can cross it off. Over on this side, I might note, like over here, I noted, oh, I have this project half done. I need to email my professor this question about the assignment, that kind of thing. So however you do it, try to organize it in a way that you can consistently do it that way. A way that, I don't know if it makes you feel better, like about accomplishing things when you can cross them off or check it off or whatever. But that's another really good way to do it too. So as for when you get things done, I would say to try assign yourself 1 or 2 things per day. So like Mrs. Walker today said, she went over the notes and she said, hey, try to do this today. It's all fresh in your brain. If you just go do it now and then submit it, then it'll be done. Other things don't pile up on top of it. And that's pretty much the best that I can suggest for you. Everybody learns different. You may learn in different ways or like to organize things in different ways. So just try to find a way that you do, like it's going to be easier for you to keep track. And you can totally look at, after you take this quiz, if you are more of a visual person, then you might want to like draw instead of writing it down. So or have sticky notes, because sticky notes are more 3D than just writing things on the paper. Sticky notes work great on the front of notebooks too, with a list of things that you have to do. They work great on walls. I normally have like most of what's right in front of the wall in front of my desk is filled with sticky notes of reminders of what I have to do. If you're not really a paper pencil person, there are some fantastic apps out there. There are smart people. So you can use your reminders app. Google Calendars works. Apple has a calendar that like you can plug your assignments in, that kind of thing, and it's really easy to sync up. Does anyone have any questions about what I've talked about so far? Are you exhausted? Do you need a brain break? Is your brain tired? Everybody reach for the ceiling. And your toes. Okay. Shrug your shoulders. Kind of do a floppy thing. Now you've moved a little bit. You're not just warm, cozy, maybe in your seat. So studying is important. Grades are important. You're probably sick of hearing that, but I'm going to talk about it a little bit more. So here's 2 words why your GPA, your grades are important. First word, debt. Second word, scholarships. So there are 3 main forms of money that you get when you go to college or that you get offered. There are grants, scholarships, and loans. One of those is not super great. Does anyone know the difference between the 3 of them? It can be a little iffy. It's not ever really clarified. So a grant is, in a way, kind of like free money that you have to use for a specific purpose. So if you think of Pell Grant is something you get when you fill out FAFSA. The government looks at your taxes. So if you are a dependent, meaning you rely on your parents to feed, clothe, maybe pay for part of your education. If you're independent, then yes, Upward Bound is a grant program. So they get money from the government to fund everything that they do and organize the summer program. So Pell Grant is calculated like how much Pell Grant you get based on how much you earn if you're an independent or how much your parents earn if you are dependent. So if your parents don't earn very much at all in a year, it will say that on their taxes, and then you'll probably get a lot of money to go to college. If your parents earn a decent amount of money, maybe on the higher end, you probably won't get as much, but you'll probably still get some. Most of the people in this area that I know have had some type of Pell Grant between $500 and $1,500. That's good, but to give you an estimated cost, I'm going to Emporia State University. It's in Kansas. So here's another important thing to note. When you go out of state for college, your tuition is more expensive. It means they're gonna make you pay more for attending a different state than where you came from, where you're born, lived in, that kind of thing. If you stay in Kansas, then it's pretty much a flat fee you don't have to worry about. So for me, it's about $10,000 a semester. Nope, $10,000 a year for me to go to college. That's a lot of money. And in college, they split it up per fall and spring semester. So in the fall semester, I owe them $5,000 for tuition. That doesn't include the textbooks I have to buy. In the spring, I owe them about $5,000 for tuition. This is why Pell Grant and scholarships are really, really important because if they help you pay for college, so you don't have to get loans. So a scholarship is an award based on a skill that you have. So maybe you get a sports scholarship, a cheer scholarship. You can get an academic scholarship, which means that you were really smart, you had great grades, that kind of thing. I started at Neosho County Community College in Kansas, in Chanute. It's a junior college. And it was cheaper, so that was a good option for me to start there. When I transferred to Emporia, I qualified for a transfer scholarship, which was about $1,500 a semester. So just to give you a glimpse at what it's going to be like here. So a loan then is the one that's not, you don't want to take out a loan unless you absolutely have to. A loan is money that you have to pay back with interest. So remember how I said it costs about $10,000 a year for me to go to college, right? I looked it up and the current interest rate is about 8% right now. So, John, correct me if my math is wrong, but every year that you don't pay your interest or like pay some part of your loan off, like it starts to accumulate. So each time you don't pay the minimum fee, then like it just piles on. So let's say this isn't quite the way it works, but let's say I didn't pay my $10,000 the first time it rolled around. So $10,000 times 0.08 for 8% means that because I didn't pay the $10,000 yet, all of it off, my fees, like what I have to pay back for taking out the loan, just became $10,800. So every time you don't pay off your loan or pay money off of it, how much you owe goes up. See why that's not a great thing? Yeah, so beware of loans. Look for scholarships. Grants are pretty good. Sometimes grants and scholarships will have little requirements. So like, if you apply for a scholarship, it may say, if you get this scholarship, you have to do 30 hours of community service in that semester because it's a community scholarship. Like someone in the community donated $300 and you have to do 30 hours of community service to get that $300. So make sure you know what you're signing up for or entering for, because if you're just like, I'm going to apply for all the scholarships because Hannah scared me to death because she was like, you have to pay like $10,000 or more. Like, did you know that Harvard costs $50,000 a year? It's crazy. Know that there may be some things that you'll have to do. Like Emporia requires you to write a thank you note if you get a scholarship to the people who donate the money, which makes sense. I'm super glad that they're willing to pay for part of my education. I have no problem writing them a thank you note. So just look and make sure you know what you're signing up for though. Most scholarship applications, it's pretty simple. They ask for your current address, your GPA, your ACT or your SAT score, a transcript, your high school transcript to see what your grades were, basically that your GPA is on that. Patience to weed through all of the scholarships, and sometimes you'll need an essay too. So depending on the type of scholarship, sometimes they will ask for a sample of your best work. So if you wrote a paper that you're like, hey, this is pretty cool in high school, and they are just asking for like your best work, totally submit that one. A lot of times those scholarships will ask you to write an essay on a certain thing. So there's a physical education scholarship. You're like, man, that's $500. That's fantastic. $500 would take a dent out of what I have to pay this semester. So I'm going to apply for that one. And it's like, hey, attach an essay about how physical education and health has impacted your life. And you weren't planning on that. That's okay. A lot of them will just ask for like a page or so. That's not bad, all things considered. So my suggestion to you would be, as you're going through high school, if you have papers that your teachers are like, hey, this was really good, or you wrote a paper for an honors project, keep those and see, like in a separate file, see if you can tweak those for your scholarship entries, because that will save you a precious, precious load of time. A lot of times when you just like in general apply for school or for scholarships, I'm going to share my screen real quick and show you. I've pulled up a couple of things. Hold on. Okay, so if we're going to Neosho, I just Googled NCCC scholarships. Here they have listed what you have to have to apply for the scholarship, what you need to do for the scholarship, and when you have to apply for the scholarship by, and a couple of those other requirements. Same thing for Emporia. They just have things set up a little differently. Different scholarships. Presidential scholarships, guys, those are great. It means presidential scholarships are basically like, hey, you had a great GPA. We'll give you $500 because you had a 3.7 and you were in the top 20th percentile of your high school class. That's fantastic. You want to say yes to those. Those are not things you should ignore. Departmental scholarship means like once you get more into your college program, like you want to be a teacher or a nurse, then those are considered like College of Education, College of Nursing, and they're going to have more specific scholarships that you can apply for. So Pitt State, again, just scholarships here. It kind of goes over what those all are again. Scholarships, they have it even sectioned out. Scholarships for incoming freshmen, transfer students, current students. Some programs you can like join at the college, like honors college, you can join once you get to like Pitt State, and then they'll have special scholarships you can apply for there, kind of like a department scholarship. Here's Washburn. They've got a little graph. Aha, visual learners, remember? How to apply, when to apply. That's important. Make sure you know when you're applying. A lot of colleges will send out information like emails, hey, scholarships are opening up next week, that kind of thing. Here's Wichita State. So that kind of gives you like a glimpse of where they're normally located on a page. Again, it's super easy, just Google it, and most of the time it'll come up. Your college should email you when you get updates about that kind of thing too. So here are some tips I have for you about scholarships. Again, sorry, it goes back to grades, but keep your GPA above 3.5, even higher if at all possible. Once you get to college, I promise you there will be at least one class that you were like, oh my gosh, I wasn't expecting that. This is so much harder than I thought. And it might knock you off your feet a little bit. So you want to kind of factor that in. Also, a lot of scholarships will require a 3.5 GPA or higher. The higher your GPA is, the more they're probably going to consider giving you a scholarship, because it shows that you're dedicated to school, like you work hard at it. They're also going to look at, again, if you saw when I highlighted it with my mouse on the screen, they look at financial need, like how much money you're already getting, how much money you still need, like how much it's costing you to go to college, that kind of thing. Again, I said this earlier, but have a couple essays set aside that you can mess with in case there is like that scholarship requires an essay. have someone proofread your essay. It's the same thing as a resume. If you don't proofread it, if you don't have, if you have a lot of grammar mistakes, or if you don't have the right topic, then it's gonna kind of knock you down. They're like, I don't know, like this other person had a really strong essay. They talked about this, they had very few grammar errors, but this person, like, I don't think we can consider them for that anymore because there was a lot that was missing with this one. However, shoot your shot, because most scholarships that require an essay are on, like they're looked at by a board. So you never know if that board, someone on the board, one of the people there might like your style of writing, how you approach the topic. So it's kind of like a lottery when you apply for scholarships like that, because it's based on people's opinions and like what they like and what they don't like. But even if you don't get that scholarship, like if you applied for like the $1,500 scholarship, that's fantastic. They might be like, man, these two are really great. We really liked both of these essays. They were both explained really well. They covered the topic, that kind of thing. There have been some instances at ESU recently where they've split the amount. So each person gets half of it, or you might get like an email like, hey, we really enjoyed it. We had some extra funds available to us. Because your essay was like the next one we would have chosen, we've decided to offer this scholarship, or this money that we have extra as a scholarship for you. So don't be afraid of applying. Apply for as many as you can. Have patience. There's a lot to weed through, and a lot of them have stupid specifics sometimes. Like there was a scholarship that I was going to apply for. It was like, education department, has the GPA of 3.5 or above. Great, I got those, right? But then it says only can be from Johnson County, which is great if you're from Johnson County. But if you're not, again, that just goes back to make sure you look at the requirements for it and what you're signing yourself up for, kind of thing. So does anyone have questions on study tips, organization, the learning styles that we went over, scholarships, anything like that? Thumbs up, thumbs down. No questions? Okay, cool. So I will post that Google form in just a bit about the quiz for learning your learning style. It'll be, I think it says learning style. But the link is right inside the Google form. You're going to click on that. It'll take you to the quiz that will have you answer, I think it's like 20 questions to figure out what your learning style or multiple intelligences are. And then there are a few questions about how you're going to take that and apply it to your studies. Okay? That's all I have for you.
All right, thank you.
Have a great afternoon.
Everyone, before you log off real quick, I've got two short announcements. The first is that we do have several people who are missing assignments, a little behind. We're asking that you come to study hall. Use that time. It's right after your classes, and it's right before the afternoon class that you're supposed to be at anyway. So it's not a huge time commitment. You're just coming a few minutes early to the afternoon class, or sticking behind your morning classes. So come at 1 o'clock to study hall to get caught up on your homework. And the second announcement is that everyone, all students, we're asking that you come pick up some supplies. We have some afternoon classes coming up next week that you will need supplies for. And we also just got in an envelope. Yay, envelopes. If you don't know what this is your stipend money. So we have checks for most of you. The brand new students will not be getting their stipend until after the summer program is over. But if you are a student who participated in our program March through May, and you were past the probation period, if you have any questions on whether or not you're getting a stipend check, ask, that's fine. but everyone regardless needs to come pick up their supplies for next week. So if you have a stipend check, you can get that when you come pick up your supplies. And you will pick those up either Thursday or Friday this week at our office. And that's in the chat there. Thursday or Friday, anytime between 8 and 5. Obviously not when you're in class or when you're supposed to be in class. But our address is also in the chat. It's 4101 South Ross Lane. And that is in the industrial park in Chanute. So do not come to the college looking for us. You will be looking for a long time if you come to the college. So we'll be at Ross Lane, 4101 South Ross Lane. You can come pick up your supplies for next week and your stipend checks for March through May if you've received those. So does anyone have any questions about that? Or Adrian, do you have anything to add?
It's a car, what do you call it? A car, like an automotive kit? Like
Right.
For emergencies? Kind of like a first aid kit for your car.
First aid kit for your car, that's right.
Yes, I was also going to mention that it would be a great idea to speak to other people who go to your same school. You guys could travel together to come pick up your items. You do have to be there though. Your signature has to be on this. You can't have someone else pick it up for you.
That's right. In order to pick up your check, you physically have to be present to sign for it.
Additionally, back to homework, this is the stipend for what you've already done in spring. If you are not completing your homework or you don't complete enough homework to what we think is enough, you will not be getting that summer stipend. So I would definitely put that effort into getting your homework done. You don't want to go through this entire summer and then find out, oh, you just decided not to turn in a few assignments, so sorry, we don't have a check for you. So please make that a priority. There are due dates for every assignment. Those should be, if not sooner, a week from the class. So if you had literature on Tuesday, the following Tuesday is when it's due.
That's right.
So
that's right. That's part
please come to
of
study hall.
That's part of earning these summer stipends is passing all of your classes. So that includes life skills. You should be doing your life skills homework as well. So if you have questions, feel free to reach out to us. We're always here, but it's very easy to see what assignments you are missing in the classroom. You just go to each class subject in the Google Classroom, go to the classwork tab, and just work your way down. Have I turned in this assignment? Have I turned in this assignment? Just make sure you're getting everything turned in. And we sent out an email last week to kind of tell everyone what assignments we thought they still had to do. So make sure you're working on those as soon as you can. And please, we don't think that there's an overwhelming amount of work to where you can't get it done during normal day hours. We do see when you turn things in, and I have noticed there's been some 3 a.m. submissions. Please do not stay up all night getting your homework done. That's for sleeping. So please make sure you're taking care of yourself and getting your things done when you need to get them done, not at 3 a.m. All right. With that, thank you guys. We'll see you tomorrow. Have a great rest of your day. If you need anything, we're here.